the one. It looks like LNG didn't like how they were bullied out in game number 1. I want to make sure that they're on the more oppressive side of this matchup.
Yes, it's definitely been Gala and Ming winning out the 2v2 so far on the bottom side, but Lucian might change that and now Breathe. Hovering the Camille and the Fiora. Breathe and Ala both known for both of these picks. I would love to see that match.
I mean, right, his breakout play back when he was on OMG, known as Curse, was on this Fiora pick, but I'd be curious to see if RNG would be willing to go toe-to-toe in the 2v2 rather than this topside matchup, because we've had things like Kalista just completely ignored, in this series.
I will say it'd be absolutely sick to see Breathe and Ala go up against each other just in that 1v1, because obviously Ala denied Breathe his opportunity to go to Worlds last year on WE, and now he would be able to do the same.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see if Zeri, Wukong are going to be the picks.
That's the thing, it's not an org rematch from last time, but it is a top lane rematch from last regionals.
Yeah, and we're going to see LNG seeing the strength of that Jax pick coming through, right? Being able to play by itself on the island, but also how much it can do in the side lane, in the 1v1. So at least this time, Ala should be able to have presence. And with RNG being the ones to ban out this Kennen pick, could leave them searching for options going into the second phase. One thing I will say, though, is Breathe much more open to picking, let's say, like weak side or just generic top lane champions and be like, hey, fine, like you can have presence in lane or you can win out in sides. I'm much more comfortable to play for the team.
Yeah, I'm curious exactly what the game plan is going to be. Like, I imagine there are going to be a lot of top lane bans now coming through from LNG just to make sure that Ala is very definitively the one in the comfortable side of that matchup in top side. But I mean, for RNG, you still can look towards jungle. You can still look towards that mid lane as well. Like Doinb's, Akali, these kind of things still up and available. But I imagine they will try and keep counterpick for Xiaohu here.
I'm really surprised as well that RNG leaning into these jungle bans, because we hit on the opposite side earlier that Wei hasn't really been someone who's kind of pushed into more niche picks, really opened up his pool to where you look at what Tarzan's played this split. I mean, he's played the Zac, he's played the Nidalee, he's played Sonar, he's played Elise, for God's sake. Like, this guy really willing to kind of go into the depths and save his pick for later on to make sure his key carries can get the champions that they need.
And I feel like that has been the story of the series, is the jungle matchup in that early game, right?
There it is.
Honor ban comes out. I mean, you said he'll go to the depths of the champion pool. Apparently, RNG respect that fact.
But it's interesting because you still got like the Trundle and that left open. It's not like you're banning away, the super mega picks that you got to worry about. It's actually just like, no, we're more worried about his Skarner in this situation. So let's see. I feel like you get counter pick here for Breathe, or at least you answer your top lane pick here for Breathe, and you try and leave Xiaohu to last pick for RNG. But I'm very curious as to what he goes for in this top side.
We do still have Tailyah left open as well. Let's remember, right? So Xiaohu had some great walls last time around. Lissandra taken off the table could always be something he looks for. But I actually think they do lock this in. Even going back like a long time ago, right, when Jax was a meta staple, I remember the first niche pick that would come out before Gragas was a top lane standard was the Gragas. The other one being the Singed, which we haven't seen but would have been hilarious. But we do have the Gragas on the board.
I'm just putting it there. I don't think it's good. Could be a Jax flex to jungle, because I'm just saying for Tarzan, he has played a bit, but never mind. All right, we're done.
It could be a Jax mid for Doinb. Let's be honest, this is LNG we're talking about. It could still be the Lucian going up to the top lane. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. There was the final pick being thought over here by LNG. Looks like we are going to have standard lanes for the Jax, for the Lucian, and that Tailyah that's been a standout is going to be locked in.
And I think you just get such good value out of this Tailyah, like with Gragas trying to use the belly bop, the engage from Wukong, Zeri having dashes in her kit. Chances are Xiaohu's going to pick something with mobility as well. It feels like the Unraveled Earth is going to get a huge amount of value in this fight, buy space for Lucian, and that's such a worry here.
Yeah, and I kind of thought they have two options here, right? Which is either one, they can go back to something like the Azir and try and keep up that lane presence, or two, they can lock in this Ahri, which will give them more presence on the map. But at the same time, now you look at RNG's composition, it is very heavily indexed into damage coming out from Gala, and Gala having to be the one to have a big game. Sure, we have seen Ahri's like indexing more into the Liandry's coming out to be able to put some higher numbers out there, but still, with Gragas on the top side, with Ahri in mid, a lot going to come down to Gala this time.
I will say, RNG versus EDG, game number 3, it was Flandre to take that Gragas, and that was the beginning of the end for RNG. This time, they're going to employ the big Ginger up in the top side here, and hopefully that will be enough for them to finish this series off. And it feels like a good composition for RNG, but a lot more proactivity available now for LNG.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got good options here in side lanes for LNG if they do manage to get this early lead. I mean, You can look for Jax to try and play aggressive. A little bit difficult, obviously, into the Gragas with his own body slam, but I mean, Tailyah can push waves, come across the Weaver's wall. So I imagine that's how LNG are trying to eye up the space, like use the fact they have a powerful bot lane as well to try and look for these early dragons where then they can just play for size rather than having to play for objectives.
I feel like for LNG, I maybe expect them to making a lot more incursions into the enemy jungle, right? Because two very safe lanes on the sides for RNG that could be very hard to dive. So they can start sitting Xiaohu way behind. That is an avenue of success for LNG to bring it back.
Certainly is. LNG need that avenue for success as well. They want to find a way back. They want to keep the miracle run alive here. They are against the ropes. It's 2-0 in favor of RNG. And RNG, remember, they want to make it to Worlds. They want to... They don't want to be the last team, the first team to not make it to Worlds after winning MSI. Xiaohu has been to every World Championship since 2016, aside from 2020. And he wants to make it there once more. He wants to show his face on the international stage.
Not going to be looking for the golden road, but certainly would be a performance where RNG would like to see if they can try and match that MSI international title. But LNG stand in their way, and when they get to Worlds, a huge amount more of the teams will stand in their way as well. LNG trying to see if they can get back to play-ins, similar to we saw in 2021, but a different look, a different style. We'll have to see if it's going to work for them.
And really a redemption arc for them, right? Because we saw LNG, you know, when they went to Worlds, not able to make it out from groups. They did have a respectable performance. They did go 3-3, but still not cutting it quite close enough. And Doinb at the same time, Dagda, I mean, just not able to bring it together. To where on the opposite side, right, RNG, ADG said they were the hardest opponent they faced at that World Championship. So for them, it's kind of not really a redemption arc. It's like, hey, like maybe we could have done it last time around. Gonna be on a different patch. Let's get there. Let's see if we can do better in whatever meta. There we go. That's the word I was thinking of the day.
Yeah, hey, it works.
Coming together once we
We're
get
creating new words here on the broadcast. We're creating our own meta when it comes to the English language, apparently.
I feel like I do that as an Irishman most.
You do.
Most words I say,
I mean,
to be honest.
like, I remember yesterday, numerous things you said on broadcast. Hysterically, like, what does that mean?
In the
what
name
is this
of
word?
Jesse Morgan or something like this on the broadcast the other day. You got real Irish with it. I was there for it, don't get me wrong. Tarzan, though, is here for it in the bottom side as he tries to make a level 2 gang happen, but a good ward from RNG should diffuse the tension. And I want to reiterate that we've got LNG trying to make it back to Worlds once again, trying to do that miracle run, but Doinb and Ala, right? The new guys on the block coming over. The duo from 2017, JDG, trying to change things up here for LNG. But Wei doesn't want to have any of it. As Tarzan goes for the invade, and it's only smite available for Tarzan. He should win this blue buff.
Yeah, is able to get out. I was kind of scared if this would have been a little bit more extended, because you can see Gala and Ming were in a fantastic position to come match and potentially pincer on top of Tarzan. Even with Doinb roaming, Xiaohu was making his way over as well, but Dagda Tarzan isn't done. He was to punish Wei.
Both have smite as well, so you're going to see very cautious here from RNG, but Tarzan will just back away as the bot lane leaves. But already, I mean, Lyric, you touched on this, right? Like, trying to play for invades is probably what we're going to see a lot from LNG, and starting off early as they mean to go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really hard, right? You look at top side, like there's a Gragas. Bot lane, we've seen it has been very hard as Wei. Able to force summoners.
Yeah, light baited in there, tries to go for the play, but a flash and a heal will be the answer here. Ming also used his summon a heal, but ultimately, I think you're happy with that one. Interestingly, I just want to point out, Gala actually go with a barrier this game.
I mean, you've got a lot of burst damage that can come through against someone like Light, so the barrier gives you a little bit more of that upfront denial of the burst damage than a heal, so just trying to keep himself safe. Obviously, Ming as well running the heal means it's all about safety in this bot lane, making sure that Light and LvMao can't get any of these early leads.
Yeah, and setting up for even just the late queue to be able to come through in terms of peel is Gala and Ming having these heavy trades while Wei's on the side of the map, but LNG feel confident because Tarzan was here all along.
Wei's in trouble. Oh, the pillar, but the clone will answer it. Wei still full HP, but Tarzan should get a bite. There's a bubble, and there's first blood. LNG get themselves off to a good start.
Ming didn't flash the bubble, so LvMao connects and Ming will fall. And when we just said RNG hyper defensive with the summoner spells, they wanted to make sure they didn't give an inch. Well, they gave a lot more than that.
And I love that LNG went for that, right? The heavy trade in bot side, because maybe RNG expecting that Tarzan went up towards top side because of the fact that Wei did pick up that bot side scuttle crab, waiting in the wings, allowed it to happen, and LNG don't want to stop. We kind of saw them in game 1 trying to play both sides of the map. You look at Doinb where he is on the mini-map right now, heading up to try and find something to on top of Breathe.
We've seen this story before a few times in the series. There's a stun from the Counter-Strike, but Breathe will get under his tower. Knocked back, takes a bit of damage for his trouble, but once again, Doinb comes top and once again leaves empty-handed.
And it's not like he's going to lose out too much for this, right? He'd already shoved the turret, he'd already gone for the reset, he will be able to move back and collect this wave. So at least at the moment, Doinb again just trying desperately to make sure that Allah is the one who's succeeding, and especially if he can get a lead in this matchup, that's where side lanes become open for LNG.
Yeah, and we're going to go back to the replay of what happened here. Beautiful pillar from Tarzan, absolutely amazing, making Wei have to use that clone, and then the bubble from LvMao, Ming not committing the flash, and even Tarzan flashing to follow up to make sure the damage is there. He is bursted out, and there's no way for Ming to be able to escape.
The power of the pumpkin pufferfish right there from LvMao. Great little bubble onto Ming. And Ming actually had a splash available, I believe, but not quick enough on the fingers.
Yeah, I think he thought he just managed to crest past the edge of the hitbox, but getting caught out regardless. And now again, you're starting to see a nice little bit of a gold lead opening up. I mean, you're getting control over the top side, you're getting control over bot lane here. So Tarzan wants to see if he can make sure that LNG get control of mid as well. Or Xiaohu hasn't hit level 6, but honestly, with where this wave is, there's not much you can do here.
Yeah, and even just leaning right, because Xiaohu was still level 5 when he was making his way over. If you get a pillar there and can force a flash before 6 comes up, which sadly just did is fine. Or plan B, it just opens up for you to have prio from Doinb. You can keep invading the enemy jungle and really trying to shut Wei down. So again, kind of great key learnings in my mind from LNG coming into this game.
Yeah, they still need to wait for Light to push in that bot wave so they can actually have the full crew here. That's why RNG trying to play a bit aggressive before LNG really get established, and LNG just not really syncing up properly in the waves means that all that is for naught.
Yeah, it's so much pressure towards this bottom side early on from both teams here. And I'm impressed to say that LNG already 1,000 gold up just off of that one kill, a CS lead in the top side as well.
And it's really surprising to me of like RNG trying to cover from all of this coming out and trying to match this pressure, because we hit on it. I definitely feel like in terms of late game damage, LNG having more, the Jax, the Tailyah able to pump out so much. RNG though knowing they need to coddle Gala, they need to make sure he can get through unscathed, because we're at a point now where we see straight at Durek double longsword, like Light gonna start being able to burst out heavily.
And I think that's why we're going to see LNG probably get Rift Herald, more than likely RNG trying to trade that for Dragon or trade that for damage onto this bot side turret, because I just don't see a world where they can match the Herald pressure that LNG have right now. It would take like a miracle team fight with a lot of outplaying on RNG's side to be okay in that regard.
It's a bit of an all-in. Another great bubble out from LvMao here. Do they have the damage though? Because Light, his cooldowns already been used, and that's the thing about Lucian. Once the cooldowns are gone, you can't keep trading.
Exactly, you nailed it right. LNG knowing that RNG's bottom lane can put out more consistent DPS, but calling online.
Big cooldown used this time, and it forces Gala out of the lane. The barrier's gone, the flash is gone, the heal is gone from Ming as well, and now massive pressure onto the tower itself.
And Xiaohu's gone from mid lane. He's trying to move back down to this bot side to make sure he can cover any sort of dive that comes through. Doinb has push in mid, and is going to try and get the Weaver's Wall into bot. They want to put Gala behind.
Understand them wanting to pull him behind as well after how he's been playing across the course of this series. LvMao and Light getting the advantage, but no, the chomp from Xiaohu. Spirit Rush over the wall. How is LvMao still alive? Finally goes down to the Ignite, and Xiaohu makes the hero play. Wei the next target for LNG as they try and find something, but they leave empty-handed once more.
I mean, the difference maker is the preemptive move coming over from Xiaohu, not being like, hey, I need to go mid first, answer the wave, lag behind. He felt that the play bot was coming. He's able to go in, because when your bot lane's chunked that low, when LNG are trying to like hard force this wave in, you know exactly what they're looking to do. Great pickup for RNG, but it doesn't really stop the pressure or the momentum LNG have for objectives.
And that's the thing now, RNG all had to reset, so we're talking about maybe going for a trade on that bottom side of the map for the Dragon, but with LNG already in position, they don't really have to move Light up there. It feels like it's going to be hard for RNG to trade neutrals for this play from LNG.
And with the early lead that LNG have had, I don't really think they should be looking to trade anyway. They should really look to force RNG everywhere they can. We will see here, though, Xiaohu just coming in clutch, already getting here, just ignoring the wave in mid after pushing it out, finds the all-in onto LvMao. Ignite does go down, and he's just able to get out of there scot-free because he does have that unsealed spellbook as well, so then able to change back to the TP. And now, I mean, we're going to see what LNG can do with this Herald, considering RNG used that window for the pick.
I think they need to wait for a little bit, though. Doinb, 0 mana in this mid lane. No way to push that in. Xiaohu has just come back to lane with full health and full mana himself. So there might actually be a window of opportunity now for RNG to make a play of their own. You can see them starting to group up towards this top side, thinking about going for a dive onto Ala.
Ala's pretty low on that top side as well. Does have flash, and remember, this is always a Jax. Counter-Strike is a hell of an ability when you're getting dived. It looks like Wei decides better of the situation is actually Ming moving up towards this mid lane.
Kind of unfortunate as well because TP had just come out from Doinb the second that Wade gotten up there, so I thought, okay, this is prime time for the dive. But luckily for Ala, able to clear out that whole wave, not giving over the opportunity on top of the mana pool not really being on their side. But RNG still wanting to commit up to this top side and at least steal away some resources from Tarzan, which, you know, I think is pretty fair. Tarzan was doing that to him earlier on. You know, what you give comes back.
For an eye, you know?
Exactly.
That's what they all preach, yeah.
I'm going to keep it real with you guys here. I don't think RNG care whether LNG agree with the decisions that they're making or whether they're justified. I think RNG are quite happy to take this into their own hands.
You know what?
I heard they sent messages earlier.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah.
You know, Munch, you might be keeping it real. I'm going to keep it $150 with you. I think they do care.
Yeah. No, I heard they talked to LNG's mom. They made sure it was all okay first. They wanted to make sure that they were fine before they went for the play. Yeah. You know, it was nice of them.
I just question how they had their mum's number in the first place. That's all I'm saying. But 1,000 gold lead for LNG so far in this one. As we're starting to get a little silly on the gas. We've had such slow early games.
Yeah.
We have had really slow early games. But when it kicks off big time. Culling in the bottom side here with Herald in pocket for Tarzan. Drops that down. That'll be at least 4 plates taken. I don't know if they can push for more, but Doinb reckons they can. Damage onto the tower here. 2.5 plates taken. Herald will charge. Tower still alive. Bubble wide from LvMao here. Light trying to back away. Xiaohu on the flank. He saved the previous play on bottom side, but not going to pull the trigger this time around.
I don't want to overcommit to that. You can see Xiaohu traded over towards the heel if they'd gone very deep on the play, but Wei not wanting to commit his flash despite the speed up for Ming, and everyone will just back away. Still, though, gold in the hands of Light.
Oh, and I actually thought this might turn into an opportunity for Dragon for the side of RNG, because with LNG being the ones to commit to the play, you'd expect the resets to come out. It would open up a window, but it looks like Gala and Ming wanting to match resets as well, just going to mean that Xiaohu can push this wave in mid, and, you know, resets galore going to come all around the board for both sides.
Yeah, it feels like at the moment we're still kind of waiting for, like, RNG are doing a good job of matching a lot of these plays for LNG, but LNG are still very much dictating the pace of this game. And with the way that tower is so low, it feels like, again, Doinb pushes in mid, leans into bot side, they forced RNG off the tower, and then they can even go over towards a Dragon themselves as well. So it definitely feels like you've got options here as LNG as to how you want to try and push forward. And again, it feels like RNG should try to buy time for Zeri to get to that later point.
The problem with buying time, though, is like, we haven't really talked about Taunt because, I mean, it's Jax versus Gragas, right? We can see it's just kind of happening in its own little isolation. Ala's starting to build up that lead. Breathe not going to be able to match him forever. Eventually, we'll have to just start, you know, dropping waves, joining up with the team. So for LNG, I feel like they're also fine with the pace of how this game's going. They've had agency so far. They're kind of the ones dictating the moves on the map, but they also have a solid amount of consistent DPS and burst come later on. But for RNG, it's going to be continuing to babysit this bottom side, and they have full control over bot side river, so maybe now going to fish for a pick and jungle.
Xiaohu gets charmed, gets a bit of damage, but now pillared as the Everfrost comes on through, holding on to that Spirit Rush. Xiaohu not answering the pressure there, just keeping his cool.
Nice sidestep from Xiaohu as well on the seismic shove. So gets the charm, gets some damage onto Tarzan, and we'll just back away out of that one. But again, you can see LNG are kind of starting to open up to what RNG are trying to achieve. Like, they want to try and break this bot side significantly open, and with the Gale Force and that Serrated Dirk now for Light, the one-shot potential from this bot lane is at an all-time high.
That's why I wouldn't be surprised to see LNG just lean once again. It looks like Doinb's actually going to head up towards top side, but Tarzan heading down towards that bot. Maybe once again make a play on both sides of the map.
Doinb moving up, stun comes out from Ala. He's low, he has no mana. Breathe with a cast, but he knocks him the wrong way, and it means that Breathe will go down. Ala surviving in the end.
I mean, they find the kill on to Breathe, but look at the bot side. Tarzan's already here. Wei making his way down once again. Like we said, LNG wanting to find value out of the fact that they've gotten this Gale Force.
Tarzan is in the bot side, though, holding on in this bot brush in case something happens, but it does open up the window of opportunity for RNG to turn over towards this Dragon, get that first one of the game for themselves. Now, at 15 minutes into the game, first Dragon going across means that these Dragons are not going to be relevant for a very long time, which, as you say, kind of favors LNG with the Jaxes and the Tailyah.
Yeah, they find that, but this patience from Tarzan is absolutely crazy. Gala's gonna show us it now. Let's see if they opt into anything.
Tarzan stays, Light goes in, Gala almost gets one shot, as Light doesn't quite have the damage to finish the job there, but he was damn close.
I mean, and at the same time, right, even ignoring the kill, they pick up the turret. They're already winning on top side of the map. Dagda just hit the first Dragon of the game. 14 minutes for the side of RNG. Second Herald's about to come up, so LNG so far doing a great job, which is why they're sitting at a 2K gold lead.
I just don't know how RNG answers the problem, right? Like, again, as you say, you move over to our second Rift out here, you get that one, you rotate Light and LvMao up to the top side, Imperial Mandate just completed for LvMao, you look to take top tier 1, and now you've opened up the game to actually play through side lanes. And the big problem that we saw in the last game was that, you know, LNG couldn't, even though they had some opportunity to play on sides, just weren't as strong as RNG there, but LNG are far superior when it comes to those side lanes and should be able to make those plays by collapsing onto the mid lane turret.
And the question is, does LNG make a big mistake again? Whether it's at the Baron, whether it's somewhere else on the map, like, can LNG keep this lead? Because, like you say, we saw it in game number 2, where the LNG kind of ran out of steam. RNG just waited for the moment to punish, and when they get those opportunities, they never miss them.
They really don't, and that's kind of one of the things we were talking about before cast, like, you know, coming in, when you talk about, like, scaling or win cons, they're just being one of those champions that warps them to where there is always a chance if we go later on. Like, RNG also do have a fair amount of CC, like, they have the pick tools there. Xiaohu can always play off on angles and try to find a charm to set up a pick, but LNG also have a good way of, like, dissuading and disengaging coming through. LvMao, if he can hit, you know, a massive tidal wave, the pillar can really stop the momentum coming through, but now gonna set up for a pick of their own.
Way in trouble, knocked back by the pillar here, but won't commit too hard from the side of LNG, as in the meantime, Gala nearly taking out Light. A tidal wave that you mentioned just to disengage the play.
Yeah, they don't want to try and go too far forward, but good amount of damage on towards Light, kind of feeling, despite the fact that this Lucian Nami is a lot of burst, they got to be careful of Gala and Ming on the opposite side, but nothing really going to come of it, right? Yes, there's a big wave that Ala should be able to collect into the bot side. There's not really any objective that we can really go and try and force for RNG, so it's going back towards playing through these side lanes, which LNG are happy with.
Light goes in, on to breathe here. Another great pillar comes on through. Culling is there. Gale Force! It's not enough. The Gragas passive saves the day. It's happy hour after all.
Yeah, it's so sad for LNG. So close once again on another pick is Gala.
Light goes in once again. I feel like Light is just unstoppable, but way behind the tower here. Tarzan just walks up to him and takes a bite out of him. Now, the Weaver's Wall from Doinb. The answer from LNG. They want to find this pick, but they just can't take anyone down.
I mean, flashes are being burnt galore. Breed's gone, Ming's gone, and RNG would just about walk away. The fact no one died of that play is insane.
I mean, and right, LNG were the ones who kept trying to go in. I guess kind of barring Wei coming off on the side. So many ults used aggressively in this play. As we see here, Xiaohu trying to be the one to start it off. And the reason why Light got so low and LvMao had to initially burn that tidal wave. Now Ala in a precarious position, but I think he should be fine, as he does have the ward to just hop over the wall. We need to remember, LNG still having that Rift Herald available, kind of looking at next of where they want to drop that one. You would expect it to be mid lane, but right now kind of making their way up towards the top side.
I'm sorry to say, gents, that was our regularly scheduled bit of action. Now we go back to 10 minutes of ping-ponging waves to play it slow.
Back to sitting down.
Put your feet up, grab a coffee.
Would you at least put your shoes back on?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I can smell it from all the way over here.
Flamingo socks today.
They're actually pretty cool. Yeah.
Wait, Munch. Maybe we get a little bit more scheduled action to Xiaohu.
I know the kind of socks Doinb has on. It's his carry socks right here, but can't find it.
That's the, you know, the little teaser for what happens next, where, like, if you're watching reality TV, they show the two people screaming at each other, but you get no context. That's what that was. That was kind of like a little teaser for what will probably come in about 7 to 8 minutes time, but not quite yet.
I gotta say though, we do have Dragon coming up in 40 seconds. LNG already got control of the side lanes that you were just hitting on, Dagda. So I think we will get it a little bit sooner than expected. And right across the board.
Another culling comes out the pillar, but Gala blocking a lot of that damage. Ming using the wild growth. That's some big cooldowns though right before that Drake that we're just talking about. Herald down in the mid lane here. Wait wants to dissuade the play, but it's so tanky these days. It's guaranteed at least one charge here. Will be taken out though, and the tier 1 survives.
Oh, they're looking for more though.
Gala caught in the corner here, forced to flash. Nicely done by Doinb using the ult. And the seismic shove. Light goes in onto Xiaohu, forces him out. And once I feel like Light has been so close to about 12 kills so far this game.
We need to keep our eyes on Breathe, though. He's kind of wrapping around on a flank. He's in River right now, has Cask up, but LNG doing a great job not giving any avenues in. This has allowed Ala to push in bot wave. Now with Flash down on Gala, this should just be a free dragon for LNG.
Next week on Dragon Ball Z, you will see these two teams get a kill. But this is not going to be the case at the moment. But they will, at least as Lyric was pointing out, get Dragon for themselves. Mid lane Tur will hold on for the moment, but it feels like it's only a matter of time until that goes down, right? You send Doinb back bot, wait for the Weaver's Wall to come up, and then you can try and force away. Actually, we'll just fall immediately as the rest of RNG back away. And now again, it starts to become more and more difficult for RNG as LNG get further control on this map.
Wait. Gets his clone taken out there, but does escape the play. And the context for that reality TV show that you're talking about, Dagda, is that we've got a triple MSI champion up against a world champion there in the mid lane. We've got the reigning MSI champions trying to book their ticket back to Worlds against LNG, who are desperate to make that miracle happen once more. But 2-0 down in the series. I feel like at this point, even LNG fans need persuading that this team can get a win on the board.
But especially when you have like Doinb and LvMao who have left teams that you look at JDG, who've just gone on to do amazingly in this split. You look across at Doinb as well, who leaving FPX, trying to find success away from what he became, like, I mean, a team he became synonymous with. This is where LNG really want to show their stuff, really want to prove that they can not only go to Worlds, not only get out of play-ins, but push the distance into playoffs at Worlds as well.
And I feel like LNG, again, might be 0-2 down the series so far, but at least in this game, are in a very solid position to be able to bring it back, to be able to make it more competitive. The fact that, I mean, again, sitting on top of Dragon right now, they're the ones with the gold lead. Their Jax is getting absolutely massive. A full item up over Breathe on the opposite side, a full item up. I guess, you know, components for Doinb in mid over Xiaohu. And again, the amount of damage these champions will pump out later on, the fact of how much distance Light can travel, find the burst as we've already seen him do, it's going to be very hard for RNG to find ways in.
Unless LNG flip the Baron, which we have seen once this series already. We'll have to wait to see if it happens again. Ala with a good little trade onto Breathe. I feel like that's the first good trade we've seen up in that top side, because Breathe has been so good at just denying these all-ins from Ala.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You can use the body slam very effectively to avoid a lot of the engage that Ala has, but eventually this matchup will kind of get to a point where Ala's just too big for Breathe to handle, and that's where you've really got to start worrying about things, especially because this has been a very slow game in terms of, you know, dragons. The Rift Tower has gotten some stuff in favor of LNG, but I don't feel like either of these teams are just able to flip a Baron. It does feel like we're going to get to that mega late game scaling.
I do feel like even though LNG obviously shouldn't look to just flip, they should feel very comfortable about trying to bait RNG into this river, right? I mean, Tailyah especially, a champion who loves just running into her unraveled earth. You have the pillar there to just isolate a member, and then Light being the one to finish off the charges. RNG now going to commit so many resources to bot.
That is the most Ala escape I've ever seen. Has a one to hop to, hops to the blast cone and jumps away anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure they couldn't follow with the blast cone, you know? Got to make sure you're safe from all angles, but yeah, that could have gone very badly very quickly if Ming had managed to get the polymorph, but we'll be fine. And again, Ala just trying to put whatever pressure you can inside lanes, draw RNG around the map. And for RNG, right, Xiaohu has gone for this more facilitator build we generally see with the Ahri, so trying to set up for picks is definitely an option for RNG if we end up seeing LNG overextend on those side lanes.
We do see Breathe obviously indexing into more of the AP Gragas role, which we have been seeing some Gragas. A lot of the times it still is like the full-on just tank Gragas, you know, make sure you're frontline, make sure you don't go down. But still, it feels like RNG's game plan at this point is very much just like, okay, we're fine farming up, we're trying to get Gala to these item break points where he's strong, right, waiting for things like the eye to come out. I mean, and seriously, all eggs in the Gala basket.
That's the TLDR of the game plan, right, is Gala. And it's not the first time we've seen that for RNG, and it won't be the last. When you think about when Gala made his name for himself, it was spring 2021. It was going to that MSI. A lot of people didn't believe in Gala at the time, and then he stepped up to the occasion. And now RNG want to get this third game on the board, want to get themselves to Worlds, and they rely on Gala once more.
Both teams up towards his top side, but LNG have more numbers. I think Wei actually just has to get out of here and leave Xiaohu on his own.
Oh, Xiaohu has to use that Spirit Rush, but will be safe ultimately as Ming moves over as well. Doinb finishes the tower. I thought Wei had reset.
I don't think Wei knows the others are here.
Around.
No, they're good. Look, Dragons in 35 seconds. They're going to see if they can get the pick beforehand. Tarzan, though, worried about Doinb alone on this side lane, would just step back, but they don't realize that you don't have Wei moving over towards this Dragon on the bot side yet.
This passage of play is the epitome of this entire series. So close to a big fight, and yet we continue.
He's going to bring it back again. We continue. Got it.
Bringing it back, old school. 2-1 on the scoreboard, 24 minutes in the clock. It's not often you could say that in the LPL, but it's a 4,000 gold lead for LNG. They're the ones in the driver's seat, and Drake up in 5 seconds time.
Yeah, and I mean, they already set up, right? TPing the mid. They were able to get here first, pushing this wave. You look at where Ala is on the minimap, having push, and now for RNG, it's going to be very hard trying to find an entrance in to compete, but looks like they're not even going to do it, right? Xiaohu on top side, I guess they're just going to commit to just catching waves and trying to get top turret.
It's so hard for them to compete at the moment. I mean, 3 items already complete on both Doinb and Light. You're looking at 2.5 at best between the carries on RNG's side. So definitely starting to fall further and further behind as this game goes on. And for LNG now, cool, another Dragon for themselves, still getting control over the side lane as Ala, and there's just not really a huge amount that RNG can respond with. And again, it feels like RNG are kind of biding their time, hoping that they can find some sort of pick, hoping that someone overextends, but LNG just aren't really giving them that chance.
For RNG, right, we can see like the small things they're trying to do, right? They're trying to find these picks on sides, whether it's what we just saw of like Wei trying to see an avenue onto Doinb up in top, if maybe other members of LNG are showing on waves elsewhere. They've tried to catch out Ala numerous times, but he's always able to escape. And without those picks on sides, it really just doesn't feel like there's a way to get in. LNG still in the driver's seat, might find Xiaohu.
Ala goes in, Xiaohu, Spirit Rush once more. Gets under the tower, keeps himself safe. Pressure in the mid lane in the meantime, but Gala there to sweep these waves up. And I will say, take a look at Gala's CS right now. Almost 300 at 25, or almost 26 minutes into the game. That is a kind of absurd CS number.
But you know it's bad when this is what we're getting excited about. I'm not gonna lie.
It's
But Bree's got a
all
tower
over
though.
again.
Bree's got a tower. 3-1, first one for RNG.
I gotta say, you know,
Let's go.
Sorry, for Mazel.
I am super.
That was the most cartoon yeehaw I think I've ever heard.
I'm super excited we're in a studio. Thank you, OTP. But I kind of feel like at moments like this is when you need the audience. Like maybe we need to pull the analyst sofa back up.
You're gonna make the wave.
And then the wards, you know, the woo!
We just need to grab random people off the street. Just like, you sit there, cheer now. It's like, get those
We
big
do have a
applause
TV
signs.
here.
I will say, if you want cheers from anywhere, the French crowd is
That
the
is
one
very
to get
true.
them from every time we've had an event. I remember I went to 2014 All-Stars in Paris. The crowd was unbelievable. Just the stadium was shaking every time a war died.
I mean, every time you see like Carmine Corp or LDLC or any of these teams pop up in EU Masters, it's the same. Like, they are absolutely bonkers. So much fun to be around. But
I mean, the Koi versus K Cup show matches as well, completely packed out. Just people going crazy for it. It's definitely a passionate fan base, that's for sure. But fairly slow one, I think it's fair to say. But RNG, generally speaking, they're happy with a slow game, right? Even if we're talking about win conditions and talking about scaling for LNG, ultimately, RNG are very happy to take the game slow and wait for that opportunity.
I feel like we can say that, but I think LNG are happier. I think LNG are totally fine with this going the distance. Now 3 items for Ala. Has the wit's end. He can keep looking for these pushes on sides. And I'm kind of surprised that LNG aren't being more willing or liberal to make something like a Baron Star. They don't have great turn potential, but even if they just try to, you know, bait people in, bait out a TP from Breathe, or really get something going, because RNG have shown they're being very tempered about walking into their enemy jungle. They're not really willing to give, like, trying to test camps, and they're not even particularly interested in fighting for vision.
LNG hiding behind a rock, going full Tailyah here. Spotted on that ward, I believe. Yep, LvMao sticks his head out there. Does get spotted. Vision cleared once again, but LNG not able to bait RNG just yet. Control ward comes out. Xiaohu, though, Spirit Rush to keep himself safe. Tidal Wave goes wide. LNG denied once more. Xiaohu looking for a charm. Finds it onto Tarzan here. Is the damage there? Tarzan walks back into the river and keeps himself safe as Doinb looks for more but won't find it.
This is definitely Dragon Ball Z. We've got these fights going across like 4 different episodes, and nothing actually happens. But still, though, LNG posturing, they are going to turn back over towards this barn. Like Xiaohu TPing back in, no Spirit Rush available, but everything else on RNG and LNG side pretty much available apart from LvMao's ultimate.
Yeah, and I feel like that is a critical thing, though, because that really is their best tool to turn, unless Ala tries to get in there with his E, as he's just trying to do to zone them off. But LNG not comfortable, and RNG, like we said, they're not giving into the pressure.
And that's the thing, when you have these slow-paced games, when you get to these late fights, everything is available, and they toss out everything.
Breed using that Zonya's will body slam out to safety. I thought that was the pick. I thought that was the moment. But LNG, once again, struggling to find the pressure with this Baron. RNG doing such a good job to hold it off. And it's 40 seconds now until this Drake comes up. This one would be the 3rd for LNG. This would be sole point. And I'm curious if RNG will respect that and try and force them off the play.
I mean, at this stage, you've got at least some vision control for RNG in the area, right? They've got the wave pushed in on bot, so they can actually step up into river to command more space here. Unfortunately, the Scuttle Crab is just going to time out for them, which would have been very nice if a fight kicks off here. But, I mean, you can push in mid here, trade mid tower, make sure you're getting control over the area, and look for picks before LNG get established.
And especially now, you know, going into this fight where Gala has that IE, on top of it, he's bought a stopwatch, so he's able to buy a lot of time if he is caught out in a precarious position. Still has summoners up as well, so RNG feeling confident looking for this fight.
Colleen down for light. That's actually pretty huge if they can try and find this fight beforehand. That's why you can see RNG trying to posture, but not quite able to find anything. Breathe waiting off in the wings as well, seeing if he can get on towards light.
Breathe trying to move down here. RNG desperate to get control of this game once more. They don't want to let this Drake go by the wayside. But LNG, 2 Drakes already on the board. They'd love to get Soul. Ala trying to take a Grump right now. Feels aggressive from him, but Wei spotted out here, takes a chunk. Ala managed to sneak back into this brush. Ring around the rosies for RNG here as they just can't seem to find the members of LNG. Drake started, flick back onto Breathe. He already used his stopwatch here. Wild Growth.
We got it!
There's a pick. There's a kill for LNG. And now looking for the Dragon as well. Gala trying to do what he can. 3 items on this Zeri. Xiaohu moving over as well as LNG try and pierce this Drake down. They find it. That's 3. And now RNG have to flee.
LNG, they find the Dragon. We finally get another kill on the boards. Game is moving forward, and RNG just left to, I mean, keep doing what they've been doing, turtling in their base and hoping LNG overstep.
Well, Ala might actually be able to get this bot lane turret. RNG have all moved into this top side of the map, so Ala with the demolish and also having that Divine Sunder,
look at him
get
go.
this for himself. So at least you're getting a little bit more off the back of this play for LNG, and again, you're pushing it. The border wall for RNG back further into their base, making it easier for things like this Tailyah to find those Weavers wall. But Breathe again once more. Just getting caught out off these seismic shoves again from Doinb. Doinb doing a fantastic job to pick off these members of RNG.
And it's that combo of Doinb and LvMao that we talked about before. They wanted to get on the same team together. Doinb finds the flick back, LvMao there to get the bubble, to follow it up. Beautifully done here by the side of LNG, finding another advantage. 5,000 gold lead as RNG try and look for something themselves here, off in the wings, out of vision. I don't know if they'll find anything here.
I mean, this is all they can do, right? They can just keep trying to look for these picks, and they're hoping someone from LNG steps a bit too far forward, but RNG might be pincered here.
Ala's happy to walk in. Tarzan knew they were there. Flashes into the play as one goes down. Ming to fall, but LvMao in trouble. Xiaohu can't finish the kill. And now Gala the target. Flashes to the back of the play. Everfrost to buy space, but Light's in the middle of everyone. Tarzan jumps in as well, and LNG play it perfectly. Onto the Baron they go.
LNG happy to enter that death brush, was the bush of death for RNG, and now going to be able to convert this into a Baron. Wei's still alive, but he knows there's no chance in hell of picking this one up.
LNG are saying this will not be a 3-0 sweep. We will not go quietly into the night as Wei. Just going to move away here from Tarzan, but I don't think he actually gets away.
I also don't think Tarzan wins that fight based on what we're just seeing there as LvMao now moving over, drops the ward. Doinb gonna look for the flick, but the clone comes out and Wei walks out with his life. But still, LNG finding priority, finding an advantage, and finally finding a significant lead.
LNG were happy with the pace this game was going. Because again, like, sure, RNG have the Zeri, but LNG have everything else. They have these picks that can get prio, that can force picks. They have consistent damage coming out from both Jax and Tailyah. They have this huge front line in the Trundle. And it just feels like at this point in time, I don't really know how RNG kill a member of LNG in a fight, unless it's like the situation they set up, where it's Doinb walking by him, Xiaohu walking by himself, I'm sorry, like Gala walking by, like just these picks that can happen to set up. But Dagda, that's not what happens.
No, I mean, trying to see if they can find the pick here. Not able to do it. Ala walks in, already has the Counter-Strike going before the Polymorph connects as well. Means he doesn't go down, gets the stun. Ming is gone. We're back to live, though.
Ala's been caught. This could be disaster, but he's a beefy boy at his way. Forced out. Ala 1v3 and kind of winning the trade as he gets a wild growth out.
Nearly catching Ala again, but this time he's just going to be too big for RNG to handle. And I think the big thing here as well is, like, when you look towards the likes of, like, Xiaohu and this kind of stuff, like, I feel like you should have gone over towards the Tailyah in this draft. Like, if you had the Tailyah, maybe then you're the ones that can try and make the plays. Maybe then you can try and play through side lanes again, but opting into the Ahri, just not working out for him here.
And that's what we were guessing coming out of draft when RNG did have that fourth pick. We're like, hey, this spot looks like it's going to be the Tailyah coming on through. They opted into the Ahri. That they elected into going to this comp that is more kind of like pick-oriented, early mid-game, finding the advantage, and then just being like, hey, we have a bunch of frontline, a bunch of CC for us area to work out, but that wasn't able to happen. They had the bot lane for the...
Oh my god!
Wait, what?
Annihilates the way, trying to go in as well as Breathe. Flanking on the side here, stopping Ale getting any more. I mean, Light, that was ungodly.
We've gone from Dragon Ball Z to One Punch Man. Now Light is just winding up and
Full
throwing
build.
these haymakers. That was insane.
Yeah, I mean, just again, look, full build compared to 3.5 items on the opposite side is LNG now feeling confident and feeling comfortable to brute force. That's not even including Ala, who's pushing in bot side, unmanned.
Yeah, this is something else from Light here. The absolute one-shot onto Ming, who, I mean, let's be honest, when we think about RNG, historically, one of the criticisms has been that this team struggles when they have these enchanter supports. Ming this game really feeling the brunt of a lot of this damage. Breathe, gonna be pillared, but he'll be okay on this one, I think, as the Everfrost comes out, as does a cast, just trying to keep these towers alive.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to. You say about thinking about RNG over the course of the year, but over the course of this weekend, it's been a reverse sweep already for RNG, and LNG taking this game. It's looking like at least one step in the right direction for LNG with the way this one's going.
And it just seems like LNG so tempered knowing their world spot on the line. Again, they probably could have forced this game much more aggressively, like numerous points, but after the scare of last game, not wanting to risk it this time around, now with Soul, it's all, you know, it's all written in the history books, Munch.
I feel like we're quite excitable as casters that we see LNG almost win one game. We're like, reverse sweep, let's go. Here we go, kicking it off. I mean, there's not much to see here. Just like absolutely decimating me.
Look, all I want is for us to try and get as many 5-game series as possible. We've already had, you know, 2 out of the 3 have gone the distance. One of them went to 4. We just need to get the 5th. We just need to get one more, you know?
Yep, we've had a 14-game weekend. It's now on 16 with RNG finding the first 2. LNG would love to push us to 4, though. They'd love to keep this series alive and find a way to keep that miracle run alive as well. And, you know, Orcs was saying on the sofa, you know, he doesn't have to justify the 3-0. He doesn't have to say anything here. The
Yeah, there was someone else who said that as well, I feel like. There was someone, you know, a lot closer.
I don't know. No.
Talking about that.
Look, I'm excited to see what Mazel says to him when they come back. Let's focus on that because that'll be a lot more.
Mazel would not be saying it, he'll be screaming it in his face.
He'll be screaming it in French as well, just to oh well, I mean, just to make it so he can't reply at this point. LNG though, moving up to the top side here. They've already got the bottom 2 in. Hibs Breathe trying to escape with his life, but he's on that unraveled earth. Xiaohu with a charm onto Tarzan. There's just no damage to follow it up.
There's nothing that they can do, and again, now you got the TP coming in, the wave is here, the poke is good, Wei tries to even get in on the side, but Doinb's playing bodyguard, and Xiaohu already with the Spirit Rush.
3rd inhib tower down. Can they finish the inhib? No Baron, obviously, at this point, but it feels like they're just strong enough to brute force the play at this point. Xiaohu using that Spirit Rush. That'll now be on cooldown for the next couple of minutes. Feels like LNG have everything they need.
I mean, LNG still having everything available as well. Just look at RNG. They keep weaving in and out. pretty much connecting with a lot of their abilities, but it just isn't sticking with that soul. And now look at the minions hitting the Nexus towers. RNG, it feels like this is finally where the final nail's in the coffin.
Breathe caught, and it feels like RNG can't breathe. They're being suffocated under the pressure of LNG. They're desperate to get this win and keep themselves alive. Wei surely will fall. Gala gets the wild growth, gets onto the fountain here. Breathe buying time for his team. RNG doing a decent job of surviving, but the Nexus towers will not be so lucky. Ultra Shock laser onto 3. Xiaohu trying to get onto Doinb as well. Gala goes in and just gets rinsed by light. There's a double kill for the Lucian. The light swinger coming up trumps here as there's a solo kill for Doinb onto Xiaohu and a clean, comfortable win for LNG.
Light stepped up massively for LNG yesterday, and we see him again on the Lucian, commanding space, finding the picks, finding the damage, and LNG as a whole looking confident in game number 3.
I love how unfazed they look by the win, and I'm sure they felt it as well, of like how uncontested they were in that game, and I'm sure RNG are feeling like, hey, you know, with this comp, we don't feel like we could have contested anything. Both teams are like, okay, head into the next game, get a reset. Before LNG, keeping the Miracle Run alive, keeping, you know, hopefully resetting their mental, and RNG showing, I guess what they showed the other day of like, hey, the dust has never settled when it looks like it should be.
But that's the thing. It feels like when we start to crest into game 3, teams have kind of figured out RNG to a certain extent. And I don't want to say it again, but it feels like, again, LNG kind of figured out how they want to try and approach draft. You know, what they want to do to shut down RNG. Even when we look at the first pick coming in, it was the Lucian on that first rotation saying, no, we want the aggressive side. We want to shut down Gala. We want to play towards a stronger mid game. And they do it beautifully here.
So now the question becomes, with RNG likely swapping sides, right? RNG on the loss should have side selection for this one. How do they approach this one in the draft? How do they change things up to make sure that they can find that third win?
You know, I don't even feel like it was down to sides, right? Because it's just so weird how, like, team priorities are, like, so specific, right? Because I feel like typically you see, like, meta picks just stay so stagnant on a patch. Things like the Kalista we talked about really just dropping off a cliff. And, like, there are some teams who have shown that they liked it, like we saw it yesterday, but some teams who, like, are now like, no, I don't want to contest that in the bot lane 2v2s. The Tailyah could have come out for RNG, which then would have given them more damage in late game fights. Like, this time with the Ahri, you can see it was all on Gala, and I feel like it could have been different decisions, and now we're going to see Tailyah priority higher, and I think bot lane needs some different picks.
And I think that's been the problem with RNG over the course of the split, and why so many of us weren't confident on RNG coming into playoffs and into regionals is they have these picks that they really like, but they're a bit outdated at the moment, right? Ahri kind of in there, but definitely I think the Tailyah should have been the priority there, as you're highlighting with the Kalista, but we've only seen Gala play it 3 times. Like, if you look at the most played by Gala over the course of the split, Aphelios, 11 games, then the Zeri on 9 games, then Jinx on 7 games.
Just bring back the Kaisa, boys.
Exactly.
Just bring back the Kaisa.
But that's what I mean, is like, it hasn't been like meta picks for this team, right? And it's been the biggest conversation around them. And again, we're seeing comfort trumps the meta, and the meta is trumping RNG.
I'm just saying, LNG started playing Sejuani jungle. No one was doing it. It became meta. Gala pulls out Kaisa, 2 pentakills the next game. It's all we see at Worlds.
Are you saying we get the Ezreal back maybe in the meta? I will say, I was talking to Zero, one of the French casters, and he's an Ezreal main. He said Ezreal, not a good spot. I don't think that one's going to be coming out today. We'll have to say, I mean, RNG need to change something. They need to find a different way to approach LNG, because off of game number 3, maybe LNG have figured it out. We'll have to see, though. We're going to pass it to a break, then to our analyst to break